stitch and adjusting a stitch on the babylock Zest are easy. At the front of the machine, you'll notice that there are two knobs. The first knob says selector. This is our stitch selector. The second knob says length. This is adjusting our stitch length or selecting a stretch stitch. On the right-hand side of the machine, you'll notice that you have graphics with a letter on top. These are our actual stitches. Let's start off by looking at the letter A and a straight stitch. So on our selector dial, we're going to move that to the letter A, which is our straight stitch, and we are aligning that letter A with the dot on top. If I wanted to adjust the stitch length, what I would do is, again, adjust the dial so that I have a stitch length of 3, and again, I'm aligning it with that dot on top. You'll also notice that you have two other categories of stitches. You have the green that sits underneath. Those are your stretch stitches. They are identified on the length dial with the SS setting. So to activate or to select a stretch stitch, what we will do is we will select the SS, aligning it with that dot on top. Now to select the actual stitch, say for instance we wanted the honeycomb stitch, which is D, I would use the selector dial, moving that dial to D to align it with that dot. Now that is how I am going to continue to select my stretch stitches and my standard stitches. You'll notice also that you have a buttonhole selection. The buttonhole selection is identified by the icons on the stitch selector that have 1, 4 and 2 for the bar tacks, and then 3 for the right hand side. Now to adjust the length, again, I'm going to move that length dial to the indicator or the icon that sits on that dial, aligning it with that black dot. So whether selecting a straight stitch, a zigzag, or possibly a stretch stitch, and don't forget those buttonholes, selecting a stitch using the stitch selector and adjusting a stitch using the length selector on the babylock Zest is easy.